What's up, guys? Out to here, another video, and I was scrolling through Google because right now, as I currently make this video, we are trying to figure out who's going to be the next president of the United States. So, I'm constantly going back and forth, on the Google website to kind of see where do we stand with the electoral votes. And this video popped up. It was like a recommended video. I don't know why, but it was a Google, and it was by Rick Ross, featuring Busta Rhymes, and it is called Master Farad Muhammad. Okay, now for those who you don't know, for those of you that don't know, Farad Muhammad was the guy who founded the Nation of Islam. Okay, now I'm not going to get too much into the background of the Nation of Islam. I've done some studies of it. I kind of know the basis of what they believe and how it got started, and who did what, and kind of like the major key players in the whole Nation of Islam. Like, for instance, Farah Muhammad was said to be a white man who had started the Nation of Islam. I think they said that he was from New Zealand or something. He changed his identity like 3 or 4 times, and it's just all types of crazy stuff. So if you guys would, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube you can go and check out to kind of get the gist of what the Nation of Islam believe, but that's not what this video is about. Now, I'm watching this video, and it seems like that the Nation of Islam is trying to make a comeback. Now, I don't know what is prompting this. I don't know what started this. I don't know why these guys are really trying to throw their hat back into the black identity group thing or movement. And they really have not been relevant. I'll probably say that they started to make a little bit of a comeback. I wouldn't say a comeback, but they started to kind of resurface. I think in the early 2000s or something like that. Especially in the mid 90s with the Million Man March. This was a group that became popular because of Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a key component in the Nation of Islam. He was kind of like their spokesperson. He was supposed to be the next guy in line after Elijah Muhammad had passed. He was supposed to be the next guy. And, if you watch it, if you watch any of the documentaries or if you do any studies, you'll know that there was some tension, and Malcolm X ended up leaving the Nation of Islam and he started his own thing, and then he ended up assassinated. And right now, Minister Louis Farrakhan is kind of like the head guy of the Nation of Islam. And Nation of Islam kind of died down, I think, in the 70s and 80s. They were still around, but they wasn't really, too much of a factor like they were in the 60s. And then in the mid 90s, the Million Man March comes up, and everybody's kind of looking at the Nation of Islam. The Malcolm X movie comes out in the mid 90s. I think it was like 93 or something like that. I think the Million Man March may have taken place 96, 95, 96 or something like that. And they had kind of been dormant from like the mid 90s, maybe to the early 2000s. I know with that movie Belly, which came out in the late 90s, the movie Belly with DMX and Nas, kind of like gangster coming of age drug dealer movie. That came out in the late 90s. They kind of put some, subliminal NOI messages in there. With Nas, he had on a kufi and stuff, and he was reading the Quran and reading books from some of these guys in the Nation of Islam. And then at the end of that movie, I think DMX he was supposed to kill one of the leaders of the Nation of Islam, and he not one of the leaders, but one of the prominent figures in the Nation of Islam, and You know, it's like a scene where you're supposed to assassinate this guy, but then this guy's talking all of this blackness and, you know, killing our brothers and sisters in the streets and this and that. And, you know, he ended up convincing DMX that he's not to not kill him. So after that, they kind of died down. But now for some reason, I mean, I'm looking at this video and to see Rick Ross and Busta Rhymes doing a video or doing a song called Master Farrar Muhammad, I think it's pretty interesting. I really think it's pretty interesting that that the nation is trying to make another stab at this, and it's crazy because I watched the video and I'm listening to the lyrics, and you know, I think what they're trying to do is that they see that some of these other black identity groups are continuing to gain traction. You know, like the Hebrew Israelite movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, African spirituality, all of these things are starting to take traction. So I think that they kind of want to get in on that and kind of capitalize on that, if you will. But what's so interesting is that I'm watching a video and Busta Rhymes is, number one, Busta Rhymes is a 5%er, okay? And the 5% nation of gods and earths, or people call them 5%ers for short, they are a spinoff from the Nation of Islam. So the guy who started the Nation of Islam was Farrar Muhammad, and there was a guy, Clarence Thomas. His name was Clarence Thomas X, and he ended up starting the 5%ers because he did not believe that Farrar Muhammad was God incarnate. Okay, so that's what, you know, led to him leaving the Nation of Islam and starting a 5% Nation of Gods and Earths. So he did not agree with the NOI doctrine. And it's funny that Busta Rhymes, he's rapping on this track, talking about Farrar Muhammad, when Clarence Thomas X did not even, you know, agree with Farrar Muhammad. And then there's a picture behind Busta Rhymes with Clarence Thomas. You know, it's Busta Rhymes, he's like in his room or something and he's rapping, and then there's like a picture of Clarence Thomas behind him, you know, which is the guy who started the 5% Nation. And I'm like, but he's on a track called Master Farrar Muhammad. So I just think it's interesting. It's like I don't understand that. You know, it's almost like if I can, you know, Lecrae rapping, but there's a picture of Frank Cherry behind him. You know, which is possible. I mean, that could happen. You know, in this day and age. But it's kind of like the same as that. You know, and for people who don't know who Frank Cherry is, he's the guy who started the whole Hebrew Israelite movement. So it's like Lecrae rapping about Christ, or not even Christ, but just rapping and having a picture honoring Frank Cherry behind him. It's just weird. But I think that this is a ploy by the Nation of Islam to try to capitalize off of, you know, what's going on. You know, trying to play on people's emotions and stuff like that. Because there's a scene, as you know, when it first starts, you know, there's a little boy's putting a bandage over his eye, and I guess that they're trying to insinuate that this kid was beat up by the police because, you know, he's ironing up his all black suit and, you know, putting on a bow tie and all of that stuff that the Nation of Islam does. And, you know, his mom, you know, she's watching him and she's looking like, oh, you know, I done lost my boy. And, you know, she's kind of doing a, you know, thing with that the Catholics do to kind of make it, to kind of insinuate that her son is so tired of Christianity, so he's going to run to the Nation of Islam. So I guess, but, you know, and here's the thing. A lot of people think that what evangelical Christianity is, they think it's a spinoff from Catholicism. And they have that mentality because a lot of the things that they believe in is a spinoff from something else, from other false religions. So they believe that since Catholicism is a false religion, that evangelicalism is a spinoff from Catholicism. You see what I'm saying? So these are people who are just ignorant to the Bible and biblical teachings. And I just it almost made me laugh to see them trying to push this narrative with the Nation of Islam. And and I clearly see right through this. They're just trying to get themselves back out there, but I don't know how successful they're going to be, because I think one of the biggest false religion in the black community that's being pushed is African spiritualism. And I made a video about that, talking about African spiritualism and all of that stuff. That is really big and is really popular in the black community, to where you have black Christian churches and people to some degree have adopted, excuse me, African spiritualism. There's even some people in the Hebrew Israelite movement who have adopted the African spiritual practices and things of that nature. They don't get as deep as some people do with sacrificing food and making, shrines and all of that stuff to ancestors. They don't really get into that, but to a certain degree that they do believe in that. And there are some black Christians who do believe in that as well. I've heard people who profess to be black Christians, and they talk about, oh, our ancestors this, and and our African heritage that, and and the Christianity that we were given was given to us by the Europeans. We got to go back to the original Christianity that was in Africa, and so all of this type of stuff. So good luck to the NOI of trying to, number one, supersede the whole African spirituality movement, and number two, the Hebrew Israelites really have gained a lot of traction as one of these black identity groups, religions, whatever you want to call it, movements. I don't think that their numbers will actually supersede the Hebrew Israelite movement, because you got a lot of people, a lot of black people in weak churches today under weak pastors. And when these people are coming out of the church, some of these people, they still want to hold on to God. They still want to hold on to the Bible. And when one of these Hebrew Israelite people run up on them and basically capitalize on the fact that these people have come out of these false movements, or these weak churches, these false under these false pastors, they are able to have the first pickings of the people who have been disgruntled with Christianity, and they're able to say, hey, listen, you're right by having that Bible, but you're wrong with being up under these weak pastors in these churches. And this church is, the church is from Satan and all of this stuff here. Although Christ established the church, but they'll convince people that the church is from Satan, and Jesus' name is not really Jesus, it's Yeshua, and there was no J in the ancient Hebrew and all of this type of stuff, and people get sucked into that. And these are people who have not read their Bibles, and they've probably been up under weak leadership so long they don't know what to believe. So the Nation of Islam, I don't really see them making too much of an impact. I really think that their time is starting to dwindle and come to an end. But I just thought that it was interesting. I really thought that it was interesting that they made that video. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that the Nation of Islam is going to make a legitimate comeback, that they may end up being the forefront of the next black identity group? Or do you kind of believe like, I don't think so. These guys are just probably trying to do this because they want in on a piece of the pie, like these other black identity groups, get a strong following, get a strong movement, so they can be able to capitalize and make some money off of this, while everyone is in such an uproar right now with all of the racial tension, and that they're just trying to get a piece of that pie, man. Like Black Lives Matter and all of that stuff. But anyway, whatever you guys think, let me know. Like, rate, share. You guys comment, subscribe. Hit that notifications bell too, so every time I upload a video, you guys will be the first to see it, because sometimes if you're subscribed to a lot of people, if I upload a video, it'll kind of get buried at the bottom, and you probably won't see it till like later. And even when I do go live, you guys will you get a notification when I do go live, because I know some of you guys will hit me up and say, man, I wish I would have watched the live stream, and I wish I was there. So if you hit that notifications bell, when I get ready to go live, it'll notify you, and you can be right there and tune right in as soon as I turn that camera on. So, but anyway, you guys, just have a blessed day, I guess.